Okay, I mean, obviously, major spoilers just like throughout this entire discussion video, but just like from point
Cut
A
that to the front of the video.
I'll make a note, whatever. I'll put it on the description. People will know it, but
No one looks at descriptions.
not if it's like the very first line. Blah 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 blah. All right, so we just watched Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which is it's the latest film in the Star Wars franchise right now, and we watched it. And what did you think, Gabe?
I liked it.
I liked it too. I think if I had to compare it with The Force Awakens, I would say that this one was more grounded as far as the plot line, because I felt with them traveling to different planets in the previous film, it goes kind of all over the place in that regard, but the main plot was totally fine, I would say. But I felt like there was more of a connection or more of an establishment for these characters, knowing that it's a sequel. Yeah. So, I mean, all's well, I suppose. Just like overall, I still liked it. I think
we had to be reintroduced to the universe in the last episode, and so this one's like, oh, I know these guys. I already connected with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, in that sense, watching this one by itself, it probably would be an incomplete experience for sure. And then watching the previous one would be like, okay, that's fine. So there's not really much preference over one or the other. It's just they're both good.
Yeah. So the thing is, with all of them, when you start the trilogy, you kind of have to start from the first of the three.
I guess you have to. Although people can argue like 1 through 3, 4 through 6, you probably should watch the latter one first over the other. That's what they argue.
They'll say like, "Oh, watch the original trilogy. It's the original trilogy." It doesn't matter. Just watch the trilogy in order.
Yeah,
because they're each their own separate timelines to where they don't. They kind of talk about things that previously happened, but it's like, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. We're doing our own thing.
Did you think that their brief summary on things that are happening was shorter than most other?
Oh yeah.
It was much shorter.
It was 2 paragraphs.
It was 2 to 3 paragraphs. And there was a certain part after the second paragraph I thought, is it over? Is that it? Oh, there's a little bit more. But that was the last paragraph. There was like 3 paragraphs in that opening sequence, and that was it. And I guess that's a good thing, because I was kind of wondering, like, do they really want to keep that consistent? I guess they will for at least the very last movie. But it's like, man, I'm kind of glad that the TV series kind of cut that off a little bit.
Did away with it.
Yeah. And just stuck with like a narrator doing it. And so, something.
Oh yeah, they did have that.
Yeah.
And it was the super generic narrator from like the 1950s. And today our heroes venture forth into the new unknowns, fighting the enemy, saving friends, making new friends, and enjoying life. Do-do-do-doon-doon-doon-doon-doon.
Very much so, quite like that. See you, goodbye.
I think every show should start with that after their recaps.
That just reminds me of the obligatory shot of like the main character's house, and then transitioning to them like opening up the front door. Maddie, you're down here, and then proceed with the entire story. But okay, so just I guess when talking about movies, we just really just talk about the things that we really like and what kind of came up. So consider all things considered, there was a lot of things that happened in this movie. This 2.5 hour long movie that, I mean, there were bits of it that were a bit of a cliche. You kind of predict like what's going to happen.
I called so much.
Right? And
I don't even care.
Yeah, I don't care either. It was just kind of done well anyway. The way they presented everything. I have to say, like, I mean, I don't really know too much about the aesthetics of like CGI and everything like that, but it was pretty clean when I actually put on my glasses and see all the little details. Especially with the cockpit shots, like when they're in space. Like there was a lot of detail on their faces and the shading and everything like that. I thought that was really cool.
What did you think of the milking scene?
I remember So there's a scene on Obi-Wan, or not Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker's like island, where we can just call it that, Luke Skywalker's island.
Luke's Island.
Luke's island, where he casually milks this beached whale essentially, and he was like, "Aww." I turned to Gabe. I was like, I didn't need my glasses to see that.
It genuinely looked like he milked his nuts.
It was
Like it looked like an awkward looking Gungan sitting down with his nuts just hanging out on the beach, and Luke's just like, let's get some green milk from you. We've done away with the blue milk of A New Hope, and I've moved on to green milk.
so weird. He milks it, drinks it as he makes eye contact with Rey, always.
It's just all in his beard. That was such a gross scene.
Oh god. And what about the scene where he has this big like fishing
His
pole,
big ass spear.
big ass spear? He says to jump like from mountain to other mountain, and he's like, whack.
How did he see it?
Jesus, the Force.
He cut himself off from the Force, remember? He's forgone the Force, so he's doing that completely free-handed. Also, are we not recording?
Oh, did it stop? Okay. Well, we have this guy, I believe, or actually maybe not.
Why did this stop? Or did you not set up? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It was just a different window.
Oh, okay. So,
Because I looked on there, I was like, huh, that's a weird buffer. Oh!
yeah, okay. But, what else is there? Also, yeah, it was how it started off or ended in Force Awakens with meeting Luke. She was like this, He reaches out for it. He looks at it like,
Dude, one of the greater cinematic cliffhangers of recent years was a bullshit gag in the movie that finished the cliffhanger.
that was so funny. Oh. But that's pretty much. I keep saying Obi-Wan. That's Luke's character
Because everyone's so used to old man Obi-Wan.
right? But yeah, now Luke's taking the helm of it, and I think for the worst, as far as just how the movie presents him, because he's this way because of how Kylo Ren just ended up, just going evil. He saw, I guess Luke kind of gave in a little bit, thought he could like resolve an issue like just by taking care of it immediately.
Yeah, he tried to Anakin his nephew.
Right, and he described it later on, just saying like it was just a fleeting moment. The moment I turned my lightsaber on, like it was gone. But it was already too much. It was already too late.
He had a moment of weakness, and he was going to destroy the evil that was rising in his nephew. And as soon as he flicked it on, he realized that it was a grave mistake, and he was saddened by himself. And during his existential crisis, he never turned it off. And Ben looked up at him, and he said that I didn't see evil in his eyes. I saw a scared child. And it's just like, damn. That was the nail in the coffin that threw Kylo to become Kylo.
Yeah. And the way that they set up the conflict within Kylo Ren was very interesting in the sense that Snoke actually established a connection in the Force between Rey and Ren. So you had these certain moments, and there were quite a few of them, in which everything kind of stopped in the environment, and it was just.
I actually thought it was done really well.
Yeah, I like that too. The moments, like after the first one, you know when the next one's gonna pick up. It's just everything just kind of dulls out. Your senses dull out, and all you can see is like these two like mingling within each other. I mentioned it before, but there was a part where I guess Ren was changing clothes, and Ren was like, "Can you just put something on?"
Like a cloak or something. And nope, he's just like, bitch, I'm in my room. All right. I think that they they explained it really well on like what was happening, because both of them just had a sense of uncertainty of it all, asking each other questions about what's happening instead of about each other in the first encounter.
Yeah.
Ben especially is right there. Can you see my environment? Because I can't see yours. I only see you.
Right.
And so it gave a... And it's trippy because their connection actually manifested on them. Mm-hmm. Like when... what's it called? When he was in his room. She was standing on the coast of the island, and when they break their connection, his glove is wet from the water that was spraying them.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. I thought that was some weird sweat effect. I was like, okay, but that makes more sense. Just like, psh. So their connection with the Force and each other is actually way stronger than maybe even Snoke would have been envisioned.
Yeah, because he didn't foresee what they'd seen in each other when they touched. Mm-hmm. When they established a literal connection with each other through the Force, it solidified what they had, because even after Snoke was vanquished, they still had the connection. Mm-hmm. She shot him.
Right?
That was her first reaction. She looked at him, thought,
what? There's no way.
Bang!
And I love that scene because, like, oh! It's like, you son of a bitch. I like how these encounters also cause Rey to get into some trouble with, like, the
wildlife,
the inhabitants.
Yeah. What were they? The somethings.
Yeah, they're essentially the caretakers of the island.
Yeah, that's what they were. The caretakers.
And they essentially built up even like the monument for the Jedi as well.
They did not like her.
They did not.
I was telling you, they're gonna smother her in her sleep. She stood there another night, they would have smothered her.
They would. There's definitely a good bit of comedy in here. And oh man, this is not even talking about the other side of the story, which is the whole like resistance fending themselves against like
that was
the First Order.
That was incredible, actually. I liked that whole plot line.
Yeah, I like how
like Finn and Rose, they had a cool bit, but just everything that was happening on the carrier, that was awesome.
That was really cool because I'm kind of used to the series just kind of going places to places because like it's a huge universe. Everything's kind of connected to each other. But here it's them just kind of fighting off this unstoppable force that will follow them to the ends of the earth or ends of the universe. This
is the first time that I think there's been one of the Star Wars movies where you actually see just how impossibly one-sided the fight is for the rebellion.
Right. Okay. I mean, obviously, major spoilers just like throughout this entire discussion video, but just like from point A
to the front of the video.
I'll make a note, whatever. I'll put it on the description. People will know it. But
no one looks at descriptions.
Not if it's like the very first line.
Anyway, go ahead.
But from start to finish, they hardly had any like opportunity to like really breathe or even have a win. I mean, Poe was the first person to say like, we can do this. Let's just keep pushing forward with this. And of course that caused him to get demoted and everything like that. And
Captain Poe.
He's just Captain Poe. What was interesting in this movie was how, oh man, Leia almost died, but she had this connection with the Force in the sense that she could kind of bring herself back to the ship, and just,
she kind of made a spacesuit out of the Force.
Yeah,
to keep herself alive after she blew up. That's what happened.
Her whole area got blown up.
The bridge of their ship, well, the command center of their ship got blown up. Admiral Akbar.
Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. And then, I mean, this is also part of it, but like Kylo Ren was actually part of that squadron that would just shoot down that main control center. And he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it.
He couldn't shoot Leia.
Yeah, he loves his mom.
Yeah, it's just he had that weakness in him, and then
Something that Snoke exploits constantly and berates him and belittles him for it.
Right, and it sucks too because, well, first and foremost, I'm glad that they did away with the mask because that was just not gonna work.
I liked the mask. It was cool.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that by taking off the mask, it really personifies him and really builds him like throughout the movie because we see him as just the big bad dude in the first one.
This one, without his mask, you see his turmoil written on him.
Mm-hmm. So much as like that, there's actually parts of the movie where it's not him being the big bad dude. It's just him sorting through his feelings, having that false sense of like assuredness until rectified or changed by Rey herself.
I really like what happened after their fight with the
Snoke
with the guards.
The guards. What are those guards specifically called? Because
I forgot what the red guards were called. I can look it up real quick.
I've seen like other like Star Wars movies. They are the ones to protect the Emperor.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see. Okay, well let's like walk through the entire process because that within itself is like incredible.
The Royal Guard.
The Royal Guard. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like Rey facing Snoke, trying to do her damnness to fight him off as far as averting his Force powers. Couldn't do it. It takes Ren to shift the lightsaber closer to Snoke.
It's his resolve that masked what his intentions were, because it wasn't I'm gonna kill Snoke, it's I'm gonna kill my enemy. I will destroy my foe with this lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And so those were his thoughts. He kept everything obscure. Every one of his thoughts were vague but direct. Mm-hmm. And that's what blinded Snoke, because he thought I'm untouchable.
Right.
I know what his thoughts are, and this is what he's thinking. Mm-hmm.
So,
and that was his undoing. His hubris.
That was pretty good. Because the way that Snoke's a really big bad dude, and there's honestly no way you can like face him like head on. That's the only way you could really take care of him was just...
He forced lightning without using his hands.
That was crazy. The first time you see like Ren trying to fight him back, but then like he immediately shuts him down like with this shockwave, like an impulse, like repulse plus lightning attack.
Mm.
Oh, it's crazy, dude. Like, there's a lot of power in him, but we don't really get to see too much of that after he just kind of like ragdoll, like not even ragdoll, just like pushed and pulled Rey like all over the place, and took memories as well.
Yeah, but as I was saying, after their fight with the Royal Guard, the conversation and the emotion that Ben was having with Rey, that was really, really good. And honestly, I'm upset with her character for not siding with him.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. What he said made a lot of sense. It was something that every great leader and icon in the movie was saying needs to be done. The Empire needs to be stopped. The Rebellion needs to be stopped. Jedi, Sith, all of the old ways, they're done. We need to start over. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want the First Order. He doesn't want the Rebellion. He doesn't want the Sith, the Jedi, anything. He wants to create a new government, a new thing to bring peace to the universe, to the galaxy. But she's so blinded by anger because, well, that's not the Resistance. That's not taking out the First Order. You're just repurposing it, which is what it just needs to do. They just have to repurpose and restructure it. They're built around tyranny. They need to bring order and peace, not subjugation and force.
I see.
And that's what he wanted to do with her. But she was blinded by the past, and because of that, we need another movie.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess if Rey were to join sides, we'd still have the Rebellion, and that would cause Rey to actually fight
There
them.
wouldn't be a rebellion.
Really?
Well, possibly there would be, but at the same time, it most likely wouldn't. Because they're shooting down all of the all of the transport carriers.
Right.
Granted, what I wanted to happen did happen, which was the vice admiral hyper jumped into the fucking carrier.
Oh, it was great. The presentation of all of that was spot on because it happens in an instant, but in order to really gauge what just happened, you need to slow down everything and just turn off all senses. So all you see...
It showed what happened at the exact instant of impact. And in half an instant, it ripped a white hole through the ship, shattered it into godless debris, and that godless debris acted like a shotgun and ripped white holes into every ship behind it.
That was a phenomenal thing to just see. And it was something I'm surprised no one really tried doing. But of course, this is like a last measure.
Yeah, that's something that you won't survive. On either side, you can't survive that because you're going so fast. So there's so much energy being put into one connection that both things are just unexisting. Mm-hmm. Not evaporated, not vaporized, just unexisting. That's borderline fission, nuclear bombs.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think Rey's actions though would affect the Admiral, just like light speeding straight.
Oh yeah, she would have light speeded into it. But you have to remember, it was her and Chewie that led the fighters away from the speeders.
But wasn't that like after she had decided what she wanted to do?
That was after she decided, well, I'm gonna side with the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
Had she kept with
Kylo.
Yeah, with Ben, then she wouldn't have been there to draw the fighters away. If she didn't draw the fighters away, the speeders would have been destroyed. If the speeders were destroyed, the Empire could have just marched right in.
Right. Okay.
Because she was the turning point for everything. She led the speeders away. Mm-hmm. She opened the back door, and she was the transport out of there.
That's true. So
the rebellion would have stopped there, and with her as kind of the light side of the argument for Ben's dark side of the argument, they really could have brought a balance to the galaxy.
Huh. Well, that's gonna be tough because we know Rey is very much in tune with her emotions as well. So even if she joins sides with Ben there, that doesn't mean that if they back the rebellion to a corner, it would have to take her to convince like Ben and the rest of the First Order to just take a second. Let's not kill everyone here. Versus Ben, who would just say like no survivors, like he said.
Yeah.
So you're right. There was a turning point, and there's definitely what ifs and could haves, but Rey made her choice in that.
I think I would have really. I would have absolutely loved the whole thing had she sided with Ben and created their own faction.
That'd be really interesting, considering like how close in tune they are with the Force with each other, even after she made her choice. I think, obviously, the writers here have like an idea of like how they want to present what's good and what's bad, and with Kylo, it could have been so much more different. It could have been a much more distinguishable gray area that Rey would also be a part of. So we have like
I think that's what they would have created.
The First Order, the Rebellion, and then Kylo Ren and Rey as like the mediators, and also like the turning point, and possibly like something that could create something anew for the entire galaxy. So
they could have pulled out a light sword and took on the entire First Order.
They could have. Well, they were definitely having problems or issues fighting off like the Royal Guard, though. That was kind of scary to watch because
someone got thrown in a blender.
Well, not just that, but that's unnecessarily brutal. But the fact that we have Kylo Ren, who's like a very well trained, like, well, Jedi, for lack of better words,
He's a well-trained Force user. I'm not sure he's too proficient with
in lightsaber.
an actual bladed combat.
Okay, you're right about that. And Rey's still learning.
Mm-hmm.
She's just like Ben, like raw strength and force power, but she also isn't like a great lightsaber fighter either. So against the Royal Guard, like those two, like separately, would not have survived.
Yeah.
So it's crazy like how far they have to go to be at that stage, be at like any Jedi Master level, and yet they have such a profound effect on just both sides still.
Yeah, because I think Snoke purposely avoided training Ben.
Right. I think it was he had the potential and he didn't want him to overrule at some point, even though that did happen.
Yeah.
Due to
He
Rey's
wanted to stay
influence.
on top because from what I've seen, it looked like he's been alive for a long time.
My dude, like he's been alive for a long time.
And so I really think that he purposely kept him weak. He knew that he has great potential, and the potential alone is a threat to him. So he doesn't want to refine it.
So what he wants to do instead, he wants to manipulate him, make him like turn to the dark side even more so, depend on it even more, to the point where his only guidance would be him.
He wants to keep him under his thumb in subjugation for as long as he possibly can.
Okay.
And to do that, he has to keep him untrained.
Right, okay. So that makes sense. Yeah, that's... So, I mean, going back to the whole idea of, like, what the writers want, they obviously want that good and bad. They don't want, like, either or. So,
Yeah.
there's the writers side more with the rebellion and, like, A New Hope. I mean, just kind of repeating that fourth movie title. And just the whole idea of just, may the force be with you, good will always, like, triumph over bad, evil. So they want to go with that. That's what Luke was saying at the end of the film, after he had passed like via Obi-Wan, via the Force natural way of going, was that there's always going to be a rebellion. The war just started. There's going to be, I'm not the last Jedi.
Amazing. Every word you said was completely wrong.
So, I mean, it's weird with Luke too, because he also had development in this movie, in the sense that he shut himself off from the Force. It took Rey to get him to admit every shortcoming he had, and also, and not just Rey, but also it took Yoda to make an appearance.
It took Yoda shitting on him. Yeah, I'm gonna burn the tree and the old manuscripts. Then as he was gonna burn it, he had a change of heart right there. I can't do it. And then Yoda's like, lightning.
the fuck.
You said you were gonna burn it. I was weak. I wasn't actually gonna do it. Well, I helped you along. Good luck.
Man, took Yoda to.
Yoda is still shit posting, even though he's dead. Toyota. Funny joke.
Ooh, but I guess like from that point on, Luke found his resolve to face Ren like one last time, just to apologize, and also just to tell him that like, no matter what path you take, I'm gonna be with you, just like your father. And man, that whole sequence with, okay, first and foremost, it's a feat in which what he does, he projects himself to the battlefield with force alone.
From light years away.
Light years away. To be able to physically touch people in a way that they don't. But it's so fucking weird because he transfers the dice rolls from
his hand to Leia's.
Right.
And then he's actually fighting Ren, and he's actually leaving footprints in the salt fields.
Yeah.
However, since the lightsabers cut through matter, that's why I was able to pass through him.
Because he wasn't really there.
I think the greatest part was when he first started walking out and Kylo Ren's just like, I want every gun trained on him. And they're all on him. And he's right there. Fire. And they're just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. It was about 15, 20 seconds of, I would say, 6 or 7 AT-AT walkers, a few ATSTs, and I think their transport shuttle was shooting him as well. For, like I said, about 15 to 20 seconds. Then the fucking commander of the army is just like, Stop shooting. You think you got him? Huh? And then out walks Luke. You missed.
Damn, dude. That was so funny.
I want to know what was going through that commander's head when he felt so confident in like, look, he's dead. Nothing can survive. Nothing can survive that except him, as I was saying. We should keep shooting.
No. Send me down there. Don't move on my signal. Luke trolls everyone.
Yeah. He's old.
And he has that moment before he Force withers away. We're just like, see you later. See you around.
Yeah.
I love Ren's like tantrums, even though they were very scarce in this episode particularly, but his rants kind of just show like how personally he takes a lot of these things.
Yeah, he's not in balance at all. And that's his biggest downfall.
Right.
Rey can't see the big picture, and Ben takes everything too personally.
Mm-hmm. So.
But as you notice, he didn't actually take the dice. Cause Ben picks them up off the ground, and then those wither as well.
Yeah. Wow. It's kind of weird. I guess it's part of the movie magic of things. You can't really explain that because Luke goes before the dice go.
Yeah.
So it's.
And then there's one final connection between Ben and Rey, and she closes the door.
Yeah, as a visualization, like it's over. Like you made your choice, I made my choice. That's it. Next time we see each other.
I hope in the last movie they decide we're gonna start over.
I hope so too.
I want them to hit a big reset button and say, we're done with everything. Mm-hmm. We're starting anew. Because
as bad as it kind of appeared with Luke just saying like the Jedi should just end, people see that as like, wow, that's really dark. Like, I mean, what about the Sith and what about the balance and everything like that? But if we just took all that away, Luke actually was onto something. It's like
no dark side, no light side, just the Force.
Just the Force. That's it. And it was hard for Rey and Kylo because they obviously are grounded with all these like emotional connections. Rey not knowing who her parents were and actually having to face up to the fact that like they sold you off. You don't really have. You're not. That's it.
Yeah, there's no big mystery on if your parents are out there and if they're looking for you. They sold you and died.
That's it.
You're nothing. You're nothing from nowhere. You matter to me though, and that's the part that made me mad. Is she is nothing to no one.
Well, I mean, like far as where she comes from and everything like that.
Well, even in the rebellion, the only person that really cares for her is Finn.
Is our boy Finn.
Finn's the only one that cares for her.
Right.
And even he doesn't is fully
aware of like all this like Force mumbo jumbo.
Well, not even that. He's not fully behind the rebellion. He just doesn't want to be a part of the New Order.
Right. Because there's certain instances where he just wants them to end, and he wants to do whatever it takes, not just to have that, but also protect Rey as well.
Mm-hmm. He wants to protect Rey, stop the New Order, And that's it. He just wants to be on his way.
Right. That's just been his character throughout. Even in this movie, which while we've not covered much of Finn, but he had some really good moments in this film. But just his own mindset is just, I want to be away from it all, but I have to finish it in order to be done with it. So I want to protect Rey. I want to end the First Order so they can stop following me.
Hey Justin, I have a question for you. Do you have any idea how many numbers of people I'd tase wanting to take one of these escape pods and leave? Oh, we're gonna inspect it by getting inside with a packed bag. Zap!
You're gonna try to leave. You're a traitor. Whenever someone calls Finn a traitor, it's just like, oh,
and they always have a shocky tool.
They always have some kind of shocking tool. I can't move my lips.
I can't feel my teeth.
What'd you shock me with?
There was a lot of moments that I called simply because of the whole, well, the movies are meant to echo each other. Mm-hmm. And I called it. I said, something's going to happen to Finn because Finn is the Han Solo of this trilogy.
Also,
and sure enough, something happened to Finn. He went and got himself captured, and then he almost got himself killed
again. Jesus.
Again. And then in the previous movie, which was episode 1, 4, and 7, we have Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, Han Solo. They all die. They're all dead. Dead as dirt. Dead as disco. Dead as the knowledge that the Carlton is not a good dance.
But Gabe, that dance is so lit.
Oh my god.
Anyway, that's a side topic for someone else. But man, we haven't even talked about Finn's side of the story because we can think of like Poe as kind of like the side of the rebellion.
Poe Dameron?
Yeah, just like his perspective on things. And then Finn's kind of like also a gray area because
FN-287.
Right. Still scum. Rebellion scum. So I think Finn kind of established himself part of the rebellion because of that moment.
Yeah, at that point he solidified himself as part of the rebellion.
And the reason was that Rose didn't want him to go because he was willing to sacrifice himself to like destroy that cannon. Mm-hmm. But Rose wasn't going to let that happen.
She loved him. She gave him a kiss and died.
No. Yeah, well, I mean,
she's not dead, but she gave him a kiss and died.
Finn dragged her all the way from that point back into like,
over a trench. There was a trench line in front of the door. What did he do? Boom.
Yeah, he would have had to do that. But yeah, so I know one of those things I was anticipating for this movie to come out was that reconnection with Finn and Rey, because like they've just been like establishing each other, or at least had a strong relationship like in the first movie, building it up. Mm-hmm. And this movie really just separated them, had their own sides to take, and neither one was.
And most of the movie was them wanting to get back to each other.
Yeah, that's true. Like
Rey wanted to go back to her friends, and Finn just wanted to protect Rey.
Yeah. So, like,
where are you from? I'm from nowhere. No one's from nowhere.
Where are you from?
I'm from Jakku. Oh, that's
okay,
pretty much nowhere.
Goddamn, Luke has some really good like moments there.
I told you he's old. That's why.
Old people are able to just kind of let things go. Like, oh, remember? Oh, I feel something. Oh, you feel it? Yeah, that's the Force. Oh, it's so strong.
All right, now reach out.
He just looks at him like, and she was like, "Oh, you mean reach out and said, oh, okay."
Now reach out with your feelings.
Oh man, dude. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. It was 2.5 hours long. There was a lot that actually happened, I felt. Like, even though they didn't really move a lot, it was pretty much like from the Rebellion side, like in space to like that old planet. And sprinkled, that was all sprinkled in between. With Rey going, well, actually, Finn and Rose going to like another planet to
Filled
get
with
that
the worst of the worst.
rich people. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Just like that whole like monologue that Luke had, and like the near end credits, well, before the end credits, was that boy that was on that island or on that planet who actually was in tune with the Force.
Yeah, it was very subtle,
Very subtle,
but right in your face. He reaches for a broom and it comes to him, Harry Potter style.
I was like, there were moments in this movie where Gabe and I both looked at each other simultaneously. We were like, "You see that shit?" So yeah,
we're almost professional movie watchers now.
yeah. So, yeah, I guess. I mean, if they want to tie that kid into like later movies, kind of like how Anakin was tied in like first, second, there might be actually a time skip, a pretty big time skip, maybe, where that boy.
But I would rather there wasn't. However, I think there would have to be, considering the rebellion is now down to about 24 people.
Not to mention just the other people like from the rebellion aren't going to help them.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, they're down to a couple dozen people in the rebellion in total. One thing I want to talk about is the Vice Admiral, though.
Yeah.
Because the movie had such excellent misdirection.
Yeah,
the whole
right?
time. That subplot was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Because it has you on the side of Poe saying,
right? Just like, what are
she's
you doing?
bad. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's incompetent, and she's gonna get everyone killed because she doesn't want to admit that she's not fit for the job. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, Poe learns it. We learn it as the audience that the whole time everything was going according to her plan. She knew how to save everyone. That's
her whole point.
Yeah.
She didn't want to win. She just wanted to like have everyone live.
She wanted to. Yeah. She didn't want to win. She wanted to survive, because the battle was lost, but they couldn't allow themselves to lose the war in that instance. Mm-hmm. And so she kept everything down to just a small handful of people that needed to know what was happening, or people that already knew what was happening. And she ended up being the hero of the movie, really. Mm-hmm. Like, outside of Rey and her ex machina.
Yeah.
She was the hero. She saved everyone. Well, as many people as could feasibly be saved. Mm-hmm. And that was done really well. And at the end, she saw that everyone's dying. I can't let that happen.
And so she finally jumped the gun and just like space jumped through everything.
Yep.
That was incredible. Also, now that you mention like her significance, I'm trying to think of like Finn and Rose as far as like what they were trying to do. They kind of came out with a worse hand than they tried entering in with. Mm-hmm. Like, they went to that wealthy planet.
Had they not done anything, everyone would have lived. Poe got so many people killed in this movie.
Fuck.
Like, think about that. Everyone in the bomb squad, everyone in about 2/3 of his entire fleet, his squadron, was killed in that bombing run on the frigate. Mm-hmm. And then, like, 2/3 of the transport carriers were destroyed after his plan to destroy the tracker.
I guess. Yeah, they were going to try to destroy the tracker, and then they just got caught.
They got caught, and
Master Coder sided with them. Like, it's just business, and then walks off with them. Although that was kind of vague how he just kind of went off with it. It was just like you're making a big mistake, and he's like, "Yep, well, maybe," and then he just walks off. And that's just the end of it.
And then he died.
He died.
Virtually everyone in that hangar died because why not warp speed into that fucking hangar?
Yeah.
And then BB-8 called everything that he did. Fucking, because at first my initial thought was it might be the hacker that's piloting the, what's it called? The
yeah,
ATST.
me too, right? I was like, wait.
And then after it like wobbled a bit, I'm like, nope, that's BB-8, isn't it? And the head came off and it was BB. I'm like, I knew it.
Never realized like how small those things are actually. If BB-8 was able to just kind of like be like 2/3 of the head, at least. So that was quite impressive. Although I guess it wasn't all for naught on their side because they did.
That probably wasn't even an ATST. It might have been a ATPT or something like that.
Like just a smaller version.
Yeah, because the ATST it fits 2 pilots very comfortably.
Oh, okay.
Like if you in episode 6 on the Forest Moon of Endor, like 3 Ewoks hop in there, and there's still plenty of room for them to turn around and try and fight off these Ewoks.
Okay. But yeah, as far as like Finn and Rose, I suppose like their side of things did help encourage.
They're gonna fuck.
Maybe, who knows? But I guess like their influence over there as part of the rebellion did spur that one kid, so it was something more about they're also spreading hope over there in this rather like sad state or sad planet of completely wealthy people who care about nothing else. And I guess those critters too. Those critters are free now.
Yeah.
So
they're gonna be captured tomorrow morning, but they're free for now.
They're free. So I guess that's a good thing about it. But otherwise, yeah, that sucks. Whew, man, it's just...
One thing about the Master Coder, well, the Master Cracker, he did raise a good point in the ship.
What'd he say?
There is no good and bad side. It's just all money and power.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because he's right there. Man, looks like this guy's made his fortune selling to the bad guys. And he flipped another one, and sure enough, there's X-Wings on there. He's right there. Oh, look. And the good guys. Kind of spitting in Finn's face on like, there's good and bad, and that's it. And right there, well, someone's in the middle.
Yeah.
So clearly there's more than good and bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. They really sprinkle in a lot of that. I guess there is a gray area that they do establish, but as far as like the frontline main plot, they don't really try to establish that until maybe later, next movie.
This whole movie was about breaking the dichotomy of the Star Wars universe, and I wonder where that's going to go in the next movie.
So, I mean, there's so much more to see, especially now that everyone's made their decisions. Like Luke's gone, good amount of the rebellion is gone.
Leia's gone.
Is Leia gone?
She's gonna be. She's dead.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher died.
I thought that was a different actress.
No.
After a while, okay.
That's Carrie Fisher. That's Leia.
Wow, dude. So, I mean, I knew that they would have to carry on like Leia somehow, but I thought
there's nothing that's gonna change my mind. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Okay, that's a low blow.
Because I thought that they were still filming as Carrie passed, and so as a result, they would have to find a new actress and also maybe reshoot some stuff. So I didn't know the full extent. I didn't know they finished the movie with her because she seemed different from what I saw between like 7 and 8. Yeah, 7 and 8.
She looked different, huh? I wonder if they were, what's it called?
Like a changing cast. That's what I was thinking, but yeah, it was a good movie. I recommend seeing it, especially if you watch like all Star Wars films. It's just, for me, this felt like the one that I could really stick to the most. A lot of the Star Wars movies I've watched in the past, at some point it kind of like left me like questioning myself, like what's happening right now. But This one had far less, I guess, locations to shoot at, so it was just okay. I can stick with this. I can understand what's going on, the gravity of the situation, and the subplots that are going on, and how significant they are to the main plot. All right, I'm good. This is really nice. It was a nice movie. Glad I watched it, and I look forward to how in the world they're going to follow that up in the next one. So, any last remarks, Gabe?
It was just a good movie. It was very cliche, but still very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We'll end it here. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to just stick in the know of like things that we post as far as discussions and whatnot, please be sure to subscribe. Also hit that subscriber bell button just to be in the know within the minute. And also support our Patreon. So, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. # bye, everyone.
There was still like another 10 seconds of that, and I was like, you don't have time for that.
Yeah, alright.